Previously on Jetstream.
No matter how hard you try, it just doesn't matter. It's not good enough.
It's dream killer time at fighter pilot school.
I could turn around and do something else. It'd be a lot easier than this.
The missions keep coming, and the rookies are stumbling.
There's one of them. Watch the rudder, watch the rudder. There's two. Watch the rudder.
I see problems if you don't up the ante quick, and I mean quick.
I'm gonna take Tickler for a ride.
Botched flights.
All right, good ass.
And cardinal sins.
I just shot the wrong guy.
Energy management, great. Clear avenue of fire, spot on. That's all null and void if you shoot your lead, right? That is really serious shit.
And final call.
Just can't put two and two together, I guess. Makes no sense.
One last chance to stay in the game.
If he doesn't show some drastic improvement, he may very well be heading down a different career path. He's got to make it happen on this next one.
Every fighter pilot knows there's one enemy you can't outrun, outgun, or outmaneuver. And right now, he's looking straight at it. But sometimes, you have to skim the ground to survive. The catch is, down here, you're never more than 2 seconds from your very own crash site. Low-level flying is one of the most dangerous lessons the 6 rookies learn at fighter pilot school. And no one is more fearful than the teachers who'll be riding in the back seat.
Turning vertical maneuvers account for a large percent of the flying accidents. You can't do the mission if you've already hit the ground, right? So yes, do the mission, but you have to be alive in order to do that.
It's probably one of my least favorite missions in this whole course, because you're sitting in the back watching yourself being hurtled towards the ground. You know, the guy in the front's got, what, 30 hours in the airplane. It's a bit, it's, the pucker factor goes up a bit.
The pucker factor. Down here, you can measure it with a stopwatch.
You're like 2.3 seconds away from hitting the ground in a turn at all times.
There's a very small window of opportunity to recover the situation if it doesn't go according to plan, so I'm actually fearful for my life today. Sick with fear. Yeah, sick with fear.
So it's no coincidence that Seamus, who is known to get fidgety at the best of times, has been paired with an instructor who, were he any calmer, would require life support.
84 for now? For now.
Awesome.
Oh, code, yeah. Okay.
Maybe we should go talk to him. Give him his last rites as he goes out the door or something.
The pucker factor. Well, flying with Carney, so it wouldn't really matter what trip I was on.
Cold out here.
I'll be monitoring it very closely.
Love these Canadian summers.
They fly one of the world's toughest machines. They pull 6 Gs before breakfast. Dogfight at high noon. But on this particular mission, even the stoic warrior Yannick Jobin is feeling a little delicate.
Fairly comfortable?
Better a bit, but I wouldn't say I'm comfortable, but...
No, okay.
Burry, the tough Aussie instructor, has a sudden concern for Tristan's feelings.
How's that feeling?
Pretty good right now, just flying around.
Yeah.
And Seamus, well, Lothar is in the back seat, and it's just getting strange.
You can make it a little bit more like ballet, less like white guy dancing. Alrighty? Roger.
Down here, hard-ass instructors turn all soft and cuddly.
All right, you happy?
Yes.
All right.
They're gentle because the ride is so damn rough. "600 miles an hour, a few hundred feet above the ground, 2 seconds from turning into a crater. Down here, you get beaten up by the turbulence, and you can see it in the way the wings flex. So, this mission is not so much about pushing envelopes as finding a comfort zone best defined as...
It's inside your fear of death range.
At this height, you can't push the student too hard, because if he screws up, there's no time to fix it. So, masochism aside, why fly down on the deck? Because sometimes you have to get low to evade enemy radar or missiles.
Ready with 403 knots.
Okay.
5, 10, 15, 1001, 1002, rolling for 5.
Roaring around down here, priorities change.
Terrain is flat, 5 for 4.
This is the only thing that matters. Feet above the ground.
5 for 4. Leveling.
Alright, so you can drop down to 300 or your comfort level.
Okay.
But their comfort level is usually higher than the 300 feet they're supposed to be flying at. Dave hovers around 400 feet, which is just fine with his instructor.
Tad on the high side, but it makes me feel better.
Rolling for 10. Horizon. Spread out's good, 10 for 5. Train is flat, 10 for 5. Let's see. And there we go.
Alright, I'm alive. We're all alive, it's all good.
Yannick Jobin is riding too high as well.
Try to get down to 300 feet. How you doing up there?
Good. How you doing back there?
I'm doing well.
Seamus is the only one who takes low-level flying to a whole new depth.
That's awesome. Alright, now it's like you just leg burner and go to 500 knots, alright? Holy oh my god. Remember, it'll oscillate a bit. Okay. Okay. Just with no power? It's pretty crazy, eh? That's awesome.
The students are not supposed to fly below 300 feet. But watch this. Seamus bottoms out at 180 feet.
Go up a little bit.
That was awesome.
Five jets went up, and all 5 have come back in one piece. Now everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. Because the one and only low-level flight of this course is over.
It was interesting. It's been a while since I've raged around that low.
I ended up getting down to 180 feet on one of the legs. If I went any lower than that, I'm sure he would have said something.
If there were in-flight meals on F-18s, today would not be a day that you would have an in-flight meal.
When you're pointing at the ground, you've never flown with someone before.
Throwing yourself at the ground will make anyone bond.
That was absolutely awesome. I want to do it again.
Brutal!
But if you missed one student, it's because he wasn't invited to the party. In the last few weeks, Tim Coffin has failed 5 missions. So he's been given 5 extra hours in the jet. Now, Tim is out of time, and his instructors are out of ideas.
To be honest, he has been taught everything we can teach him. He has read everything he can read. He's been told every possible scenario. He has heard it all. There's really no new wow instruction that he's going to get, aside from maybe a good tip that might work in a certain situation, but he has pretty much had it all.
You ready for brief?
Yes, I am.
Okay, brief.
Debrief 26.
It's come to this. One last chance. 1 hour in the F-18 could determine the next 20 years of Tim's life.
I'm sure that he's probably had, butterflies, like the feeling before the big game. He most likely fully understands the gravity of today.
And ultimately, it's in Tim's hands at this point.
It's as close to the heavens as you can get outside the space shuttle. And it's a view fighter pilots live for. But every one of them has to earn it. Captain Tim Coffin has one last chance to prove he belongs in the club. And this is it. The mission is a 2 versus 1 fight. It plays out like this. Lead, the blue jet, and the bandit, red, start to fight. Tim, in the green jet, climbs up about a mile overhead. His job is to figure out which is friend and which is foe. Then, tip his nose in and shoot the bandit. If he gets a valid kill, he might save his career. If he doesn't kill, his dream might die. For this mission, the course director is riding in Tim's back seat.
Okay, you have control?
I have control. Let's go kick some ass.
Fight's on.
Alpha 5-2, hard right.
Lead and the bandit engage.
Bandit right, 2 o'clock high. 5-2, tell me when. Up flares, and up. Let's get the fight.
Tim climbs up overhead and goes upside down so he can see the fight.
5-2, tally visual.
Tally visual means Tim can see both lead and the bandit. And that's critical, because the rule is, lose sight, lose the fight.
There's speed. Ah. Keep climbing. Okay, let's reverse. Check your speed.
You tally visual?
Yep, tally visual.
You got weapon set?
Yep, coming in. Use the burners. Come over top. There we go.
Tim gets the shot, but no kill.
Okay, so were you visual on number 1?
1 and 2, yep.
You were visual on 1 and the bandit?
Okay, visual both.
No, were you during the fight?
Yes.
Okay, they were underneath our jet for a long time, so I certainly wasn't there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're telling me you were, so if that's the case, we had plenty of weapon separation to get in there and kill them.
Yeah.
And when they reposition for round 2...
Alpha 5-2, break right. Set flare to your right, 3 o'clock, slightly high. 5-2, tally.
Tim winds up in the wrong place.
5-2, switch, hostile.
bandit knows.
Now, instead of being the hunter,
See the bandit?
Yeah, he's right behind me there.
Tim becomes the target.
Those on. Top fighter, top fighter. Those on. 5-2. Dave's defensive.
Alpha terminate, 5-1 terminate.
5-2 terminate.
Tim gets away without getting gunned, but a wingman should never become a liability.
We ended up over the top, but we were displaced from the fight, so again, the bandit was able to just point his nose a little bit up and drag us down.
Yeah.
They set up for another attempt.
All right. Smash.
5-2, break right, break right. 5-1 engaged.
5-2 press. Ah, get her nose over.
There you go, where's the fight? Where's the fight?
Tim can't shoot because he's not certain who's who. He asks lead for his position.
5-2, tell him to set himself in.
Bandit is east.
5-2. Tally visual. 5-2 resisting. Come on. Those
Alpha terminate, 5-1 terminate.
5-2 terminate.
Alpha
5-2 terminate.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well.
Time ran out before Tim was ready to shoot.
What happened when you pitched into the fight, though? What forced you to come off there?
Calf. Number 1.
CAF, clear avenue of fire. It means don't shoot if there's any chance of hitting your own guy. Tim's instructor thinks he read it wrong.
Yeah, I didn't really see it. I thought everything was looking good. When you made the decision to come off, you still had 1.2 miles on range on the HUD, so I wasn't sure why you came off there.
It's the final round.
Alpha 5-2, break left, break left. Had to go left, 9 o'clock, slightly hot.
5-2, tally. Hostile.
Bingo. Bingo.
Bingo. That automated warning tells Tim his fuel is low.
Reset bingo.
He might have enough gas for one more shot.
Come on. Not ideal.
Visual?
Yep. Wait.
See the bandit? Where is he?
He's up here.
But before he can get into position,
Terminate.
Alpha terminate, 5-1 terminate.
5-2 terminate, bingo.
Bandit.
Tim stops the fight. He's run out of gas without getting a single kill. On this mission, Tim had to call time on himself. If Tim was hanging by a thread before this flight, he's in free fall now.
It's out of my hands. What I've recommended to the CO is to convene a PRB.
PRB stands for Progress Review Board, and it's the last stop on this train.
That is where group of instructors convene, look at all aspects of Tim's training, and go through every detail related to Tim, and assess whether he's fit to continue on the course.
Every mission, every call, good and bad, will be scrutinized. And while his fellow students soldier on, Tim will be waiting on the sidelines for an outcome that's out of his hands. Whoever named this place Cold Lake had a firm grasp of the obvious. Once this place pulls on its winter coat, it keeps it on for 5 long months.
Who would have thought Cold Lake, eh?
Picnic in an igloo!
Yeah. It's supposed to be
You
like...
can't forbid something that's this place that's called cold near a lake. Might have snow. Wow.
Right now, the lake is a 140 square mile slushy, slowly releasing the heat that it soaked up during the summer. All that warm, moist air mixes with the frigid air above, and if the wind is right, the flight line can suddenly look like the centerpiece of a giant snow globe.
10 centimeters of snow on the ground, and more coming down as we speak.
Ground 3.6, main ramp, Echo, permission on the aircraft.
Round about now, you'd have a hard time convincing anybody that good weather is a key reason Cold Lake was chosen as a training ground.
Well, I wish I had something to do right now.
Waiting for the tarmac to be plowed so we can tow out to start the jets. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
That's all there is to do.
Scheduling the essential rookie flights on days like this is a mug's game.
Well, what happened was, that's what happened.
But the unpredictable weather cuts both ways.
You know, it might be really bad in the morning when the snow clearing starts and you kind of tend to want to go, oh, forget it. And then it opens up for a couple hours in the afternoon and you got to be around to grab that because that's all you're going to get in the wintertime.
Riel caught a break in the weather to fly a critical solo mission. And almost under the radar, when no one expected it, she turned her fortunes around. A superior mark, a snake, on one of the toughest missions of the course.
He's feeling superior today.
Snake to the flight. The most...
Yeah, I wrote I'm speechless on her ACT-6 card. And normally at this stage of the course, you might see on a trip like that, maybe one out of every 3 or 4 courses. One of them might pull off something like that. Really? So I was speechless when the instructor told me, but when he told me, he said she did as good or probably better than a wingman on squadron.
Shake and bake, baby.
Shake and bake, shake and bake.
Meanwhile, there's another cold front moving in. This one's inside 410 Squadron. In a squadron conference room, Tim Coffin's fate hangs in the balance. The Progress Review Board is meeting. 3 senior fighter pilots charged with the thankless job of interviewing witnesses and then making a recommendation to the commanding officer.
I want to have a specific set of questions for Coffin.
Heading up the board, Major Bren Eichel.
It is a heavy responsibility for anybody on the board because we've got an individual who has dedicated a good portion of his life to get to this point. And now you have been charged with making a career-affecting decision.
I got it. Cougars, Lieutenant McLeod. Hey, dude. I was just talking to Vlad. He wants you to come back and sort some stuff out with your prog book and such. I guess Noodle and the other guys are in, and they're going to take your prog book soon. Okay? All right, thanks, dude. Bye.
It's really frustrating because it's like we want to do anything we can to help out and to help fix things, but there's not a lot we can do.
You got it's triple jug. Awesome.
Until the PRB makes its decision, the only thing Tim will be flying is a desk.
Hey, here in Cold Lake, you got winds are 310, 13 guessing 18 knots.
It is tough watching it because I know that very easily could have been me.
Between 17 and 24 could be a factor.
You know, because it's not like I've been breezing through this thing, no problem.
Truth is, it could have been any of them.
Yeah.
We are a really tight course.
The freedom fighter.
We're very close. And it's frustrating, you know, when we see one of our colleagues, one of our course mates going through trouble that, you know, sometimes we can't really help with at this point.
Remembrance Day has a special significance at an Air Force base.
Right standard!
For the courageous individuals whose names are inscribed in this four-wing memorial before us, a tremendous and overwhelming debt is owed to all of our fallen heroes. Among these heroes are the airmen and airwomen whose courage, dedication, and self...
There are few bonds as powerful as the fraternity of fighter pilots.
Right at 10, 2!
Of the many who dream of joining their ranks, Tim Coffin is among the select few who ever get this far.
Standard!
Now, with 7 months of grueling tests behind him and the prize within his sights, he may lose it all. The Progress Review Board at 410 Squadron has called the key witnesses for Tim's case, his instructors.
Dude. Right over here, man. Slide him beside me. Tape is rolling. If you could please state your rank, name, initials, and service number for Wendy doing the record.
Sure, it's Major Ailing, MW, R70942-231.
Okay. What is your position on 410 Squadron?
I'm the Squadron Standards Officer.
One by one, they'll be asked to weigh in on the question that can no longer be avoided.
Flight Lieutenant Burr, initials are GC and service numbers N55.
Can Tim Coffin make it as a fighter pilot, or is it time to cut him loose?
Gojo. Hey, Gojo. Can you just comment a little bit on his performance flying against the Bandit?
Sure. In my opinion, I was trying to coach him as best I could from the back seat, but it seemed that he was just pulling, not really recognizing when the Bandit was in a WES or was in a position to shoot, or when he could, conserve some of his energy.
Was he understanding?
I think he understands what's being said. I just don't think I think he has trouble assessing it in the air.
You don't rush things like this. Even some things that on the surface look straightforward never are, especially in the board process. I truly believe that it's as fair and objective as humans can make things like that.
He could have gone in close and gone for guns, and he didn't think to do that. His brain was basically full.
Would you say that this he showed some improvement in the supporting aspect between ACM2 and ACM3?
Yes, I would.
I would ask you at this time to read the names of those who have died.
Flying Officer R.D. Terry.
Flight Lieutenant J. Finley. Captain Naismith.
Tim has been a model officer. He's been an all-around a good guy. He knows his stuff inside out. He's very likable, as I'm sure you've seen before. And that makes it tough. You know, you look at him, you go, damn it, I really want this guy to succeed, and I want him to, to pass the course.
Does Captain Coffin have any personal or professional issues with any IP at 410 Squadron?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I'd say it's the opposite. He's got a really good attitude.
Did he show any indications of stuff that he hadn't grasped?
I felt as though he did what I had asked him to do, but I felt as though it was more of a script that he was mechanically executing. I don't know if that makes sense. Is that clear?
It's very clear.
Okay.
In your opinion, do you believe Captain Coffin can correct these deficiencies in an acceptable period of time?
To fix these problems, I think he would need to redo the ACM phase.
In its entirety?
In its entirety.
Bigger picture, in your opinion, does Captain Coffin have the necessary skills to complete FPC 39?
Based on his performance in BFM and ACM, no.
Okay.
Major Bren Eichel knows what it's like for Tim. He was once on the other side of the table himself.
You feel like you've just been smashed in the face with respect to your career. From my past experience, the waiting and wondering what's going on is all-consuming.
I just wish this process can go a lot faster, you know, whether it's a good or bad, the outcome. You feel sometimes like you're all alone. It's a bad feeling.
Where are you guys going for your course lunch?
I don't know.
We're going together for our course lunch. That's all I know. I don't know where, but you're coming with us.
So what are you saying? I'm just a tag along now?
Jackass. You're a jerk.
Hate you guys. Love you, Mom.
It's a big day at the Fighter Pilot Training Squadron.
5.
And the rookies are in for a surprise.
1, 0333 Zulu. All right, welcome to the mission brief for ACT-8.
They're about to be thrown into a combat scenario as close to the real thing as it gets.
6828 has been invoked and supported by all United Nations participating coalition partners, including Canada.
The mission? Defend the airspace over a make-believe country called Orangeland that's about to be attacked.
Redland does not acknowledge the existence of Orangeland, and as such, that area or that territory has been in dispute. For your threat today, you have 6 MiG-29 Charlies located.
What you're doing today is exactly what you would be doing if you went to a combat theater. Or as close as we can get with 410.
It's Teabag, Poot, me, and...
Oh, do we want to load Mo and Joe?
Each student will be part of a two-ship formation, an instructor flying lead and a student on the wing flying solo.
They have no idea what they're going to go up against, what the presentation's going to be, and it could be anything from 1 to 6 jets in any number of groups and formations and hostiles and bogies, you name it.
To play the bad guys, the squadron has brought in some ringers. Top Gun fighters posing as bandits.
It's a cooler day at the office. We get to go play war today.
Be a good wingman. Don't lose sight. Don't get shot. Shoot them first.
Each pair must defend the airspace until they're almost out of gas. Then, a fresh team takes over, so timing is critical.
Just ready to go do some killing. Shoot some aircraft down.
Bring it on.
But evidently the weather didn't get the memo. A snowstorm has swept in and the temperature hits 30 below. Minute by minute, the rest of the airbase is shutting down. But not the 410.
You're going to have to do a little bit of I will send a magical jet swapping over, and I'll leave it in your hands.
Wars don't wait for weather delays. But you better have plan B.
Just looking at the forecast. Was that you that did that? Because I'm going to hold you personally responsible for destroying my whole day, as well as everybody else at 410.
The base weather office now says visibility is so poor, it's below the allowable limit for student pilots.
It's because we are solo that it's an issue, because we're the only person in the aircraft. Therefore, you know, it's based on our ticket, so we have to meet the restricted criteria, which right now the weather doesn't. It's worse than restricted criteria.
But hustle up a bunch of instructors to ride in the back, and it's legal.
Attention everyone, ops will make the call, stand by.
Even if they have no idea what's going on.
What am I doing exactly?
Well, you're going to be riding in somebody's trunk.
In the student's trunk?
Yeah.
I did not attend the brief.
Neither did I.
Then at 20 minutes too, they're like, you're jumping in Blo's back seat. So I'm like, okay. So I quickly go and change. Get ready. I don't even know where the plate is.
The bandits take off. followed by the first shift. Lead with Yannick Jobin on the wing. At 7,000 feet, the jets emerge into blue sky.
Alpha 5-1, a drop line, adversaries pushing. Picture, single group, South Pole 3, 26,000, track south.
Trapline single group bullseye 0406, 25,000, estimate 2 contacts.
Ground radar warns them they've got company.
Alpha 5-1, trapline, copy, flights on.
Bullseye 1808, 26,000, hostile.
In the airspace over Orangeland, Jobin targets 2 bandits as far as 30 miles away.
I'm gonna shoot in here. Shoot. I'm gonna go for one. There's the 6th one.
Got a shot.
Fox 2 ship.
And he gets them both.
Woo!
The contrails show he's been circling the airspace for a while, and his fuel is running low.
Donor said he'd catch up.
The next shift is Dave McLeod on the wing. And the weather's not getting any better.
Hey, where do you think the crosswind's from?
I have no idea.
Kurt Charlie 71, channel 6 for Turbo. Monitor card, both cables up. Winds 270 at 15, gusting 20 knots. Clear takeoff 31 right.
But storm or not, they've got to keep flying.
Go 776 into our hangar. That gives up another parking spot.
For the students, the lesson is, you do whatever it takes, and you never give up.
Guessing there was 4 on there, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. I just shot a bunch of people.
Top line, trail group maneuver. Hostile, MiG-21.
Back in the combat zone, the contrail in Dave's heads-up display is a dead giveaway. At the end of it is a bandit, and Dave's got a lock.
Charlie 72, Fox 3.
And when he knows the shot is good, Dave is ever the gentleman.
Charlie 72, Fox 3, kill. And sorry, sir, you are dead. I'm not really sorry.
Good work.
Tristan's up next. Like clockwork, he'll be airborne and ready to relieve Dave when he's out of fuel. Now, just 2 teams remain on deck. And they're itching to go.
If you sit too long, you just got to keep the mind going, keep in the mode, Yes, I feel ready.
But there's a snag. The ground crew has discovered problems with both their jets. And the only place they're going is back to the hangar.
I'm gonna cry right now.
It is physically and emotionally draining because it's I was so pumped to fly at 8 this morning.
But you can't fight if you can't fly. The jets fell apart on us. Getting old. 25-year-old airplane. That's why I cry.
Getting 280 for final approach. 30 for the heading, 11 for mountain touchdown over the end of the runway.
But at the end of the day, Orangeland has survived the attack. Despite all the obstacles, mechanical failures, and acts of God, the 410 Squadron held its own. It's been a long, gut-wrenching wait for Captain Tim Coffin. For the last 2 weeks, the senior pilots at 410 Squadron have been deliberating on his future. Now, the wait is finally over.
Sure.
Just wanted for us to go and listen to the instructors, get their perspective. We wanted to review the stuff, the documents, that kind of thing beforehand.
And the news is not good. Cease training.
I figured Tim could have made it through. And I don't know why he didn't.
Tim's classmates have been waiting too, and hoping for the best.
Okay. Don't know if you guys knew that this was about to occur, but the reason we got you here today is to give you the results of the PRB. It's my unfortunate responsibility to stand in front of you and deliver the news on that. And the recommendations they made to me was for Tim to be cease trained. The reasons for that probably...
The result of the PRB was a surprise. We thought he was going to get, one more shot at it. But he didn't, and then, yeah, that was a bit shocking.
Again, it's one of those things that is relatively realistic, because if you were in a medium to high threat environment in a wartime situation, you literally could have the wingman or the flight lead blow up beside you, and you would have to continue to press and do your mission. And that's kind of the way to potentially look at this situation.
I'm just eating up, with frustration, disappointment, regret. Man, I could have did that better. I should have done this. Because, let's face it, being a Canadian fighter pilot, how many guys out there have that position? Not very many. And, if I could have had that, that would have been, definitely something I would have loved to do.
A team that's fought for something this long and this hard together makes a bond like family. And in some ways, Tim will always be one of them.
I honestly don't know what's going to happen, and I'm kind of at the mercy of, the military. I look at their decision, I respect their decision in that. I'm a rookie at all this, and they have the experience and the wealth of knowledge to know whether I could succeed or not. I'm just go with their decision, and, as a good officer in the Canadian Forces, you follow your leader.
But you only get one shot at being a fighter pilot, and Tim's had his chance.
Yeah, get my gear off.
8 started. Now only 5 remain. And it's not over yet.
That's nice, that's nice, that's nice, that's nice. Oh yes, this is good, 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 this is nice, this is perfect. You shot the f***er. Awesome.
That's next time on the final episode of Jetstream. Previously on Jetstream.
No matter how hard you try, it just doesn't matter. It's not good enough.
It's dream killer time at fighter pilot school.
I could turn around and do something else. It'd be a lot easier than this.
The missions keep coming, and the rookies are stumbling.
There's one of them. Watch the rudder, watch the rudder. There's 2. Watch the rudder.
I see problems if you don't up the ante quick, and I mean quick.
I'm gonna take Tickler for a ride.
Botched flights.
All right, good ass.
And cardinal sins.
I just shot the wrong guy.
Energy management, great. Clear avenue of fire, spot on. That's all null and void if you shoot your lead, right? That is really serious shit.
And final call.
Just can't put 2 and 2 together, I guess. Makes no sense.
One last chance to stay in the game.
If he doesn't show some drastic improvement, he may very well be heading down a different career path. He's got to make it happen on this next one.
Every fighter pilot knows there's one enemy you can't outrun, outgun, or outmaneuver. And right now, he's looking straight at it. But sometimes, you have to skim the ground to survive. The catch is, down here, you're never more than 2 seconds from your very own crash site. Low-level flying is one of the most dangerous lessons the 6 rookies learn at fighter pilot school. And no one is more fearful than the teachers who'll be riding in the back seat.
Turning vertical maneuvers account for a large percent of the flying accidents. You can't do the mission if you've already hit the ground, right? So yes, do the mission, but you have to be alive in order to do that.
It's probably one of my least favorite missions in this whole course, because you're sitting in the back watching yourself being hurtled towards the ground. You know, the guy in the front's got, what, 30 hours in the airplane. It's a bit, it's, the pucker factor goes up a bit.
The pucker factor. Down here, you can measure it with a stopwatch.
You're like 2.3 seconds away from hitting the ground in a turn at all times.
There's a very small window of opportunity to recover the situation if it doesn't go according to plan, so I'm actually fearful for my life today. Sick with fear. Yeah, sick with fear.
So it's no coincidence that Seamus, who is known to get fidgety at the best of times, has been paired with an instructor who, were he any calmer, would require life support.
84 for now.
Awesome.
Oh, code, yeah. Okay.
Maybe we should go talk to him. Give him his last rites as he goes out the door or something.
The pucker factor. Well, flying with Carney, so it wouldn't really matter what trip I was on.
Cold out here.
I'll be monitoring it very closely.
Love these Canadian summers.
They fly one of the world's toughest machines. They pull 6 Gs before breakfast. Dogfight at high noon. But on this particular mission, even the stoic warrior Yannick Jobin is feeling a little delicate.
You fairly comfortable?
Better a bit, but
yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm comfortable, but...
No, okay.
Burry, the tough Aussie instructor, has a sudden concern for Tristan's feelings.
How's that feeling?
Pretty good right now, just flying around.
Yeah.
And Seamus, well, Lothar is in the back seat, and it's just getting strange.
You can make it a little bit more like ballet, and less like white guy dancing. Alrighty?
Roger.
Down here, hard-ass instructors turn all soft and cuddly.
Alright, you happy?
Yes.
Alright.
They're gentle because the ride is so damn rough. "600 miles an hour, a few hundred feet above the ground, 2 seconds from turning into